Monson, Jazz's George Hill is the boot to finally kick the playoff door in. In the run-up to the 2016 NBA Draft, Dennis Lindsey was uncertain as to the course he was going to take. He had the 12th overall pick in a pile of notes, statistics, reports, opinions, research in front of him. The guys on his staff had done their work, now he had to do his. He had to decide. He was swamped with options, some better than others. He could go ahead and use the pick or trade up or trade down or trade out. He could continue to build for the future, or he could do what he did. He could skip a step. He could acquire a boot, as Bum Phillips once put it, to kick the playoff door in. He could help his team now. He likely achieved all three. He traded for George Jesse Hill Jr. The magnitude and brilliance of that decision will reveal itself more as the season rolls on. Already, it is clear that the veteran guard is what the Jazz lacked. That has been established after 5 games, and the Jazz needed Hill. The Indiana Pacers had less use for him. Funny, how one team's trash can be another team's treasure. Lindsey worked a 3-pronged deal, trading the number 12 pick to Atlanta, which traded guard Jeff Teague to the Pacers as the Pacers sent Hill to Utah. Indiana was ecstatic about that swap. After the three-way was consummated, Indianapolis Star columnist Greg Doyle called the deal felonious for the Pacers. He wrote, "Jeff Teague for George Hill? That's a trade you make every day of the week and twice on Sunday, because at some point Indiana Pacers president Larry Bird ought to walk into church and offer a prayer of forgiveness. Because he just stole from somebody." Whether the theft came at the expense of the Hawks or the Jazz was unclear, and unimportant, but if it were the Jazz, they never before had been so glad to get ripped off. Here's why: Hill has given them what they sorely lacked. The Jazz didn't need more developing young talent in the unsteadiness that Hayward, Derek Favors, Rudy Gobert, Rodney Hood, Trey Lyles, and especially Dante Exum needed a savvy presence, one who would have but didn't absolutely require the ball in his hands. They needed a calming influence, somebody who could direct them through the critical moments of games. Last season, without a Hill, the Jazz were 14-28 in games in which they were within 5 points in the last 5 minutes. They were good enough to be in those games, but not seasoned enough to close them out. Hill won't solitarily change that. He's nobody's superstar. But did you watch what he did against the Lakers, the Spurs, the Mavericks? He grabbed those games by the throat and held on tight, not just by way of his own numbers 23, 22, 25 points and his defense, but by the effect he had on everyone else. Quinn Snyder said Hill's addition has brought leadership and toughness, and the ability to do whatever it is the team needs. That's the essence of who he is, SN. Itter said. He's going to do what's asked of him and what he thinks he needs to do to help us win games. He added, the biggest thing is his ability and willingness to communicate. That could be in a huddle during a timeout with Rudy, it could be after practice with Gordon. It could be on the team plane during the card game. It takes so many forms, but that kind of interaction and the respect he's able to gain from his teammates is a big deal. One of them concurred. George plays with a lot of intensity, he's been around the league, he's a good defender, he knows how to get everybody going, and he knows how to take control of a game, Favors said. That's big for us. The Jazz had little of that last season. They had nobody with the heft, with the rings around the trunk, the wisdom, and the onions to lead out, to score what needed to be scored, to pass, to defend, to exude what needed exuding. Now, they do.